Ron Henley. I was at Fort Pierce Central in 1971 to 73. Um, and from there, I ventured to the University of Florida to start my medical career in terms of medical school and undergraduate studies. Both were done at the University of Florida.
Robert Henley, I was at Fort Pierce Central High from 75 to 77. Um, After graduating from Fort Pierce Central High School in 1977, I spent 3 years at the University of Florida doing my undergraduate work. And I went to medical school from 1980 to 1984 at the University of South Florida College of Medicine. When I was at Central, I was part of the Honor Society and the Photography Club. Those were the two activities that I spent most of my time when I was at Fort Pierce Central High School.
I wasn't quite as involved in those activities at Fort Pierce Central at that time. We spent more time, I guess, talking and trying to be more unified as a group at that earlier time, and doing a lot of outside cheerleading for the football team. 'Cause we was really oriented around the football team at the time I was there. From a jovial standpoint, I remember when I was going into the 11th grade, I had been in the chorus for a couple of years. I went by and told Mr. Little that I'm oriented toward becoming a doctor, and I don't want to waste my time in the chorus any longer because I don't think this voice is going nowhere. He said, "Son, I totally agree with you." So I stopped in the chorus at 11th grade and went and started taking more science courses, trying to prepare myself for medical school.
For me, I think it was really more the teachers. I think, at least when I was in high school, there were a few teachers who were really very involved in my life. In 10th grade, Miriam Williams, who was my math teacher, she spent a lot of time with me and spending time with me helping with directions. Also, the other teacher that was involved was Gloria Johnson. She was very active in my life and guiding me along the way. And it's interesting, when I reached 12th grade, I was back in Marion Williams' class again as another math class. And so I think those two ladies, what I liked about them, they actually took a personal interest in me. And they spent time with me, and they kind of helped guided me along the way. So I'm very grateful for them.
Mr. Andrews, in terms of science classes, he definitely had a major impact on me. He always said he would always talk to you about looking a different direction. He said, "I'm watching what you're doing." I said, "I'm gonna keep going in the right direction." So he had an impact on me. And there was a math teacher, Miss Flowers. I mean, she really had a lot of faith in what I could do, and set up a program one summer that I could attend if I wanted to increase my expertise in mathematics and all. She said that I had some capabilities that she hadn't seen very much, so she made me feel good, and it was very encouraging. I think for me, the main thing was to set my goals early, and to know what I really wanted to do and what I wanted to be. And when I did that, it kind of oriented me in terms of my studies. Because the most important thing is to know what you want to do, focus on it, spend the time to do it, and realize that there is a lot of fun time later. Make sure you take care of the essentials early on, because that will have a major impact on you for years to come. So that was my main point, was to be focused, make decisions early about what you think you want to do, and strive for it, and have it a good feeling within your heart that you could achieve most goals if you really worked hard at it.
Yeah, so I agree with most of what he said. I think that we have to become focused at a very early age and set our goals on what we want to do in the future. It's so much easier to obtain what you're trying to obtain. But if you have no goal, a lot of times we were lost in the sense that we go off to college not knowing exactly what we wanted to do. And back during the time I was there, when I went to University of Florida, you were sort of labeled when you went there as a black guy. And I remember the first time I went to register for classes, right? And wanted to register for 16 hours, which is really what the average student registered for. The guy who had to approve it told me that that was too much for me. And I asked him, how do you know? You don't even know me. But he said, I refuse to sign it. So unless you change it to 12 hours, you can't be approved. And so listening to him, it was interesting. I decided that, okay, well, I'll just change it. And I filled out 12 hours. I will say I filled it out in pencil. And so after he signed it, I just erased it and put my 16 hours back. And I registered for 16 hours because at 12 hours, you'll be in college for 5 or 6 years. And so that's why you have to be focused and know exactly what you want to do when you leave school. So I think he's correct. Focus and know what you want to do, because what happens is there is something that's called delayed gratification. If you put in the time, what you want will come later.
I had a very similar experience with those hours when I went up there. I can remember the guy name. His name was Dr. Miles. He said, "I'm gonna recommend you take 13 hours." I said, "I need 16 to finish appropriately." He said, "Well, I can get you 16." So, but he wrote down there in writing, I encouraged him to take 13. I thought it would be better for him. But I said, no. And he didn't tell me he wasn't going to sign it, but he did write a note down at the bottom of the sheet that said he was encouraging me not to take but 13 hours.
And I think the take-home message is the only thing they knew about us is that we were black. And just because people don't believe you can do it, you should know exactly what you're capable of doing. And my recommendation is, when you know you can do something, don't let anyone stop you.
Well, for many years, I had to bear the burden of doing most of the work. I just want to tell it like it is. Now, as I've gotten older, I've sort of slowed down a bit. My wife wants me to slow down even more. But it's been unique in a lot of ways, though. And I think most people would wish that they could have that experience of working with your brother in medicine like that.
Yeah, it's always, two different versions. So yeah, I always take him back to our training program. We did cardiology at the same program I did my internal medicine. And the chairman of cardiology was very fond of me. He thought I was the best thing that he had ever seen. And so I told him, it's because of me that he even got his cardiology fellowship. So one, he should be thankful. But he is correct. He came to Vero ahead of me, and he set up the practice, and I was able to join him in a practice that was already booming. So from that standpoint, he did give me a great start. And so that you never forget. But you're right. So he started us, and like he said, he's getting older, so I'm probably going to be the guy who haven't ended us. But yes, it's been a great journey. So yes, we have enjoyed it all along the way. But now don't get me wrong, we're brothers. So there will be some ups and downs when you're dealing with family. So I'm the last one to come. So I came in September of 1991. And so we have been here together since September of 1991. He came, I think, in 85.
Yeah, I came originally in 84 and went back and did the cardiology portion with him between 87 and 89. And then I came back and just restarted everything so that he came back a couple of years later.
For me, I think it's an honor that someone even thinks of me as doing something special. All my life I just tried to be me and help people when I can help. So, I think I like the fact that I'm in this position because it does give us opportunities to help. I've, in my early days when we were not as busy, I've been back to Central High twice as speakers for Black History Week. So the fact that someone has decided to honor me, I think is a privilege, and we're just so grateful for it.
Yeah, it's nice in a way because one of the real reasons for coming back this way was to be able to do something for the communities you left. We grew up in Fort Pierce, and Fort Pierce has been good to us. We started through college and everything from Fort Pierce, and it's just nice to be able to come back and practice in this area in your own independent practice, which means that I can see who I want to see on any terms I want to see them on. And what happens in that setting is you can still have some impact on where you came from. Not re- and just remember what who helped you along the way as you venture through this life, and look back and try to and hopefully help somebody as you came along, because the community has been good to us.
Yeah, and we're like I said, we're grateful for what the community have done for us, and so we believe if there are some young kids that would like to talk to us, and I think I can speak for him too, we'd be more than happy to speak to them.
And one of the greatest things about coming back to this area has been it's a blessing to be able to treat one of your teachers as a patient,
Wow.
school teacher.
Yeah, and we've seen that we treated teachers and class members.
That's right. A
And
lot
so
of
that's been an honor.
classmates. Yeah.